Moroha was getting ready to fight a giant dragon. He launched a magical attack, but the dragon breathed fire back at him. Moroha quickly blocked the flames with his magic shield. The Sword of Salvation unit prepared to back him up, while Moroha began casting his spell. The dragon kept firing waves of flames. Some of the team focused on reinforcing the shield spell to withstand the attack. Edward moved into position to strike the dragon's left wing. Just then, the dragon swung its tail toward him, but Angela reacted in time and blocked the tail with her sword. Sophia delivered a powerful blow that knocked the dragon back. Other members followed with a mix of magic blasts and physical attacks. Shizuno cast a freezing shade spell onto Satsuki's sword. Satsuki then swung her sword toward the dragon, freezing it solid. The massive creature crashed to the ground, but moments later the ice around it shattered and the dragon roared back to life. By that time, Moroha had completed his high-level dark magic spell, the 8th tier Thunderstorm Helix. He was truly grateful to all his friends who held off the dragon while he prepared the spell. As the dragon charged again, Moroha unleashed the spell and struck it with his blade, creating a massive explosion. Even in moments that feel hopeless, when death seems inevitable, there's always a glimmer of hope like a speck of gold hidden in a pile of gray rubble. 6 months earlier was the first day of school at the private Akane Academy. The students at Akane were special individuals chosen because they carried memories from past lives and could use inherited ancestral magic. On that day, the opening ceremony for new students was held. The principal, Mary, gave a welcome speech and expressed her hope that the students would grow into heroes capable of defeating metaphysical threats. Moroha was one of the students attending the ceremony, though he ended up sleeping through most of it. While dozing off, he had a dream of a past life where he saved a girl. In the dream, the girl leaned in as if she was about to kiss him, but Moroha suddenly woke up, only to find someone standing right in front of him, who then knocked their forehead into his punishment. Startled and in pain, Moroha realized it was a girl named Satsuki. She scolded him for sleeping during the ceremony. What shocked Moroha even more was how much Satsuki looked like the girl from his dream, Sarasha, and he accidentally called her by that name. With tears in her eyes, Satsuki called him Flaga and suddenly jumped into his arms, saying she had missed him terribly. Moroha tried to explain that he was not Flaga, but just Moroha. Still, Satsuki insisted that he was her older brother from a past life because she had heard him say Sarasha's name earlier. Moroha admitted that he could barely remember anything from his past life, and the name Sarasha just popped into his head out of nowhere. As they talked, they noticed a girl had collapsed nearby. Moroha rushed to check on her. Satsuki assumed the girl might be anemic or something similar, but when Moroha got closer, the girl suddenly opened her eyes, called him Shusora, and kissed him out of the blue. Shocked, Satsuki quickly separated them. She angrily accused Moroha of kissing a random girl. Moroha explained that the girl had kissed him, not the other way around. The girl closed her eyes again, but Satsuki snapped at her, calling her a sneaky cat. She was upset that the girl had kissed Moroha and claimed she had mistaken him for someone else. Satsuki was baffled by how someone could kiss a stranger like that. Feeling irritated, she saw the girl as someone who had stolen her spotlight. Moroha tried to calm the situation, but the girl casually asked what it felt like to kiss her. She did not seem bothered at all by what had happened. Moroha then criticized her for treating something so personal so carelessly. Satsuki was frustrated watching them talk so casually in front of her, especially since Moroha didn't seem to care about her and didn't even remember who she was. Upset, Satsuki yelled at him and ran away, leaving the two behind. On the first day of class, Mr. Taro asked the students to start introducing themselves. Suddenly, Satsuki raised her hand and introduced herself first. She says she was determined to become the second strongest savior at the school and even asked the others to follow her lead. The whole class fell silent, confused by Satsuki's behavior. They didn't even know her, so they couldn't understand why they were supposed to follow her. Satsuki explained that she was just trying to set an example because everyone looked as calm as a bunch of cats. Moroha was baffled by her attitude and asked Mr. Taro to just continue the introductions since their time was limited. Mr. Taro agreed and encouraged everyone to get to know each other quickly. As he began calling names from the attendance list, Satsuki looked at Moroha and playfully stuck out her tongue. The first name called was Shizuno, but she was fast asleep at her desk. After that, the students went to change clothes for training. Shizuno quietly promised herself that she would beat everyone during practice so that Moroha would compliment her. Satsuki confidently stated that no one could possibly oppose the love between her and Moroha. The other students looked puzzled by her bold declaration. On their way to the training grounds, Satsuki suddenly called out to Moroha and ran up to him. She boldly invited him to go on a date after school, then linked her arm with his and leaned in close. Moroha looked awkward and told her he was actually planning to look for a part-time job. Satsuki reminded him that the school didn't allow students to work while enrolled. Soon, they passed by a separate room that looked like a coliseum. Shizuno explained that if someone got injured inside, their injuries would be healed as soon as they left the space. Once they arrived at the training area, Mr. Taro began explaining that there were two types of saviors, the Sharingan, who use light-based skills, and dark arts users, who draw power from darker sources. That day, Mr. Taro planned to teach them how to use light skills. With a specific movement, his body suddenly lit up, amazing all the students. He explained that the glow came from something called Plana, the source of light-based skills. One student asked how to activate that power and said they were eager to try. Mr. Taro told them that everyone carried memories from their past lives, so they should be able to use Plana by instinct. The students gave it a try, but no one succeeded at first. Then, out of nowhere, Satsuki showed off her ability to use Plana. Everyone was shocked to see the energy radiating from both of her hands. She even lifted another student with one arm and spun them around. Satsuki was thrilled to finally show what she could do. Moroha was about to try using Plana too, but decided to hold back. Satsuki walked up to him and asked if he had seen her power just now. Suddenly, a student named Jen started complaining. He said the class felt pointless and wished a rampaging metaphysical being would show up at the training grounds. His friends asked why he would want something like that, and Jen said if the threat level were high enough, even first-year students like them might be allowed to fight. He and his two friends burst out laughing. Satsuki walked over to them and called them a disgrace as saviors. She told Jen to think carefully about what he had just said. Jen mocked her, calling her a hero of justice. Satsuki snapped back, saying he smelled bad and should toss his brain into the garbage incinerator. Jen, clearly upset, suddenly activated his Plana, and the other students were amazed to see him channeling it throughout his entire body. Mr. Taro, their teacher, tried to stop the fight between the two, but Jen instead suggested having a sparring match with Satsuki. Mr. Taro objected, saying it was inappropriate to have a practice duel on the very first day of school. Unexpectedly, Satsuki agreed to Jen's proposal, which left the teacher with no choice but to allow it. The sparring session began. Jen took off his necklace and summoned a massive axe as his weapon. Satsuki responded by drawing her sword Arceal. Morova didn't understand how they could summon weapons like that. Shizuno explained that by channeling their planet into themselves, they could manifest weapons they used in their past lives. The fight between Satsuki and Jen began. Moroha was worried whether Satsuki would be alright. She kept swinging her sword, attacking Jen, but his much larger build allowed him to block her attacks with ease. Jen kept mocking Satsuki's missed strikes. Frustrated, Satsuki aimed low and lunged with all her strength, but her attack missed again and her sword slipped from her hand. Gen told Satsuki to pick her weapon back up. He said that the match was supposed to set an example for the others, so they should start the attack again. Feeling frustrated, Satsuki quickly ran to retrieve her sword. Just then, Gen swung his giant axe and tore part of her uniform. Everyone was shocked, while Satsuki stood still looking down in embarrassment. Seeing this, Gen laughed loudly. Moroha quickly stepped forward and covered Satsuki's back with his jacket, surprising her. Gen called her useless for not being able to handle her Plana and went as far as calling Satsuki and Moroha a perfect pair of losers. Mr. Taro returned and scolded Jen. Although Jen had technically won, Mr. Taro reminded him that mocking others for being weaker was unacceptable. Still, Jen insisted that Satsuki was weak. Hearing that, Satsuki ran off and Jen continued laughing. Moroha chased after her. After school, Moroha invited Satsuki to grab something to eat at a cafe, but she still looked very down. Moroha admitted that he didn't really understand what it meant to be a savior, but he believed that having a genuine desire to become stronger was a good start. Satsuki shared that her hometown was constantly under attack by metaphysical beings, forcing her to move from place to place. Because of that, she never made many friends. Still, she never felt truly lonely since she had memories of Sarasha and often met Flaga in her dreams. After taking the school's test, she came to understand that she was a savior, and that she wasn't the only one with a past life. When she found out there was a school specifically for saviors, she thought there might be a chance she would meet Flaga again. Her second biggest wish was to fight for justice and protect the world. But her first wish was much more personal. She wanted to look cool in front of Moroha. She realized she had no right to criticize Jen because in truth she saw in him all the things she disliked about herself. That's what made her choose to attack him. Satsuki came to the painful realization that she felt pathetic. She quietly hoped that Moroha, as her older brother, would scold her like he used to. Suddenly, Shizuno appeared, offering to scold her instead. Satsuki was surprised and assumed Moroha had asked Shizuno to come, but he shook his head. Shizuno called Satsuki a sneaky thief who was secretly dating someone. Satsuki scolded Shizuno for eating all her snacks, but Shizuno thought Satsuki was feeling down and had lost her appetite, so she said she ate the snacks for her sake. Satsuki then explained that she and Moroha were siblings in a past life, so they had a lot to talk about. She asked Shizuno to step back, but instead, Shizuno hugged Moroha and pressed his face into her chest. Satsuki's face turned red and she asked what Shizuno was doing, but neither of them paid her any attention. Frustrated, Satsuki shouted and called them both indecent for acting inappropriately in public. She can question whether Moroha just really liked that part of a woman's body and blamed Shizuno for shamelessly using hers to get guys' attention. Calmly, Shizuno said Satsuki shouldn't be upset just because she didn't have much to show in that area. Satsuki, flustered, pressed her chest with both hands to prove that she did have something there. Shizuno apologized, admitting that she probably shouldn't have said something that harsh. Satsuki only felt worse and started to believe she was just pitiful. Trying to comfort her, Shizuno reminded her they were still in their growth years and kindly offered Moroha back to Satsuki. Blushing, Satsuki asked whether her chest felt pleasant too, but unexpectedly, Moroha said it felt stiff, like a wooden board. Satsuki burst into tears and ran away. Moroha thanked Shizuno, thinking she had come just to cheer Satsuki up. Shizuno denied it and walked off. That afternoon, Moroha met Gen at the training grounds. He asked Gen to apologize to Satsuki, but Gen said he would only do it if Moroha managed to land a hit on him. Gen pulled out his axe and charged at Moroha. Meanwhile, Satsuki was taking a bath, thinking about how kind Moroha had been, just like in their past life. Suddenly, Shizuno barged into her room and told her about what was happening with Moroha. Without even getting fully dressed, Satsuki rushed out to find him. At that moment, Moroha was struggling in his fight against Gen, who had just sent him flying with a powerful strike. Moroha admitted he couldn't follow Gen's movements in battle. Gen's two friends praised his incredible speed and referred to him as Jinsukatsu, someone whose movements were lightning fast. Moroha was overwhelmed. When Gen attacked from behind, Moroha barely managed to block the strike, but he was thrown back again. Satsuki arrived at the scene and called out to him. Seeing her, Gen said he would continue the fight with Satsuki instead and made an inappropriate remark about tearing her clothes. Hearing this, Moroha became furious and attacked Gen, but the strike only landed on Gen's axe. Gen swung his axe and instantly shattered the sword Moroha was using. But Moroha did not give up. He kept attacking Gen with his broken sword. Even after multiple strikes, he could not land a single hit. Every time he was thrown back again and again. Watching this, Satsuki felt heartbroken. She truly believed Moroha was going to lose. Shizuno explained that Moroha was fighting for Satsuki, so Satsuki needed to watch him until the very end. Moroha kept fighting until his sword was knocked far out of reach. As he tried to grab it, Gen stepped on his hand. In that moment, Moroha suddenly remembered a dream, where his younger sister from a past life encouraged him. She had called him the guardian of the Holy Sword. Unexpectedly, Satsuki spoke words that were nearly the same. In his previous life, Flyba had made a promise to always win and return to Sarasha. As Gen raised his axe preparing to strike, Satsuki shouted out a promise. She would kiss Moroha if he won. That moment triggered a sudden realization in Moroha. He remembered how to summon his weapon. He then called forth his sword named Saratiga and rushed toward Gen with determination. Just then, Mary, Taro, and Maya arrived on the scene to try to stop the fight. Gen was shocked. Moroha had just awakened his planning that he was already able to perform Jinsukatsu, technique Gen himself had only mastered after 2 years. Their weapons clashed, and in the end, Gen lost consciousness. Satsuki ran to Moroha and embraced him as his strength began to fade. Mary then mentioned the term Ancient Dragon, which referred to a spirit from the past or an ancestral soul born from the War of Death. Moroha was dreaming about Satsuki, who told him she believed he would keep his promise to win and come back to her, so she hoped he would not let her down. In that dream, she leaned in and kissed him. Her lips felt soft like a little girl's. Moroha opened his eyes and woke up to find a small girl sitting on top of him. She quickly got off and said his pain had disappeared. Moroha had no idea who the girl was. It turned out she was Maya, Mari's younger sister. Moroha realized Maya had just transferred mana through his lips to help restore his magical energy. He then understood that Maya was the one who had kissed him. Maya's face turned bright red with embarrassment. Suddenly, Satsuki's voice could be heard struggling against her restraints. Mary had intentionally tied her up and gagged her just to keep things quiet for a moment. Mary asked if Moroha was actually a legendary dragon. Some members of the Japanese branch of the White Knight Order referred to him as a spirit of a past hero. Moroha had no idea what she was talking about. Mary explained that his savior is someone who had lived a previous life. She had long suspected that some saviors might have memories from 2 past lives. Moroha was confused. He already remembered his life as a soldier, but Mary insisted there was a second one. She had seen it during Moroha's last battle. When he swung his sword, he used a level 3 dark arts technique. Luckily, he did not suffer any physical injuries from it. Mary told him to return to the dorm and get some rest. Maya warned him to be careful, especially when it came to dealing with girls, because bad luck seemed to follow him in those situations. Before leaving, Mary reminded him to take Satsuki with him. Once Satsuki was untied, she lit up and asked if Moroha had remembered everything. She leaned in, ready to kiss him. Just then, Shizuno appeared, surprising Satsuki. She was confused why Shizuno had shown up right when she and Moroha were having a moment about their promise. Her Her face turned beet red after blurting out something so embarrassing. To Satsuki's shock, Shizuno calmly kissed Moroha in front of her, clearly trying to make her jealous. Upset, Satsuki quickly tried to pull Moroha away from Shizuno. From a distance, Maya watched and quietly confirmed her earlier feeling. Trouble always followed Moroha when girls were involved. Later in class, Satsuki asked Moroha to exchange contact info. After getting his number, she was thrilled. It was the third contact on her phone right after her parents. Moroha congratulated her, but Satsuki got a little defensive and admitted she had always been a loner. Shizuno then asked to exchange contacts too, and Satsuki agreed. Suddenly Jin's older brother, walked into the classroom and called for both Moroha and Shizuno. The female students squealed with excitement at the sight of Jin. He took them up to the rooftop for a private talk. Jin explained that Moroha had now reached rank C. He had seen Moroha's match against his younger brother. Rank C students received compensation for scholarships, and after graduation, they would be guaranteed jobs within the White Knight Order. Jin told Moroha that now that he was rank C, he would be assigned as one of Jin's strikers, a team that fought against metaphysical threats. Assignments usually came once or twice a month. Since being a rank C came with responsibilities, Jin advised Moroha to think it over carefully. Moroha asked how much the scholarship and compensation would be. Jin whispered the amount, and Moroha's face lit up with excitement. He immediately said he was in. Jin also said Shizuno had already been accepted as a backup member. Just then Satsuki, who had been eavesdropping, ran over and asked to join too. If Moroha and Shizuno were going to be part of it, then she had to join as well. Jin said he understood how Satsuki felt, but he did not know anything about her combat abilities. Shizuno backed her up, saying Satsuki was strong enough to defeat Jin, but Jin said it was probably too soon for her to join rank C. Satsuki looked hurt. She turned away, said she would become stronger as fast as she could, and that one day she would stand right beside Moroha to support him. Tears filled her eyes as she ran off, leaving Moroha behind. That day, Moroha and Shizuno were officially promoted to rank C. The upperclassmen welcomed them warmly. Before training together, they had to recite a chant declaring themselves as saviors who fight for humanity, peace, and justice. After that, everyone trained together. Jin's generation was often referred to as the Golden Generation because many of them had already defeated Metaphysicals in Japan's branch, meaning they were stronger than most adults in the White Knight Academy. Some of them had even surpassed rank B. Moroha wasn't sure if he could keep up in a place like that, but Shizuno reassured him that he would be just fine. During a practice match, Moroha lost and admitted that he had never felt so exhausted in his life, but Shizuno pointed out that he didn't know when to stop. As Moroha and Shizuno were walking home together, they saw Satsuki waiting for them ahead. She had been waiting for quite a while. Satsuki told Moroha that she had found a great okonomiyaki place and invited him to go with her. But before Moroha could say anything, Shizuno politely suggested that Satsuki should go on her own since both she and Moroha were too tired and just wanted to go home and rest. Shizuno reminded Moroha that they would be training every day from now on, so it would be better for him to get some rest and prepare for the responsibilities ahead. Satsuki apologized, realizing she shouldn't have invited them out that late. Shizuno told her it wasn't her fault, that since they got home late every day, having Satsuki wait around would only make them feel guilty. Satsuki asked if she could invite them out again on a day off. Before Moroha could answer, she suddenly ran off. Moroha was confused as to why Shizuno had said that to her. According to Shizuno, she just didn't want Moroha to lose again in training. However, Moroha didn't like how Shizuno handled the situation. He'd thanked her for helping him, but admitted that it didn't sit well with him when someone went that far on his behalf. Before parting ways, Moroha asked Shizuno to make him happy by giving him a smile. Then, Moroha ran after Satsuki. She was crying the whole way, realizing that Shizuno was just telling the truth. Suddenly, Moroha called her and asked if she was crying. Satsuki denied it, saying she was just having a pollen allergy. Moroha knew she was lying and told her she looked awful when she cried. As it turned out, Moroha was standing right behind her. Satsuki, shocked and embarrassed, blushed deeply. They walked together for a while. Moroha said he would eat okonomiyaki or anything else during his day off, but he would prefer if Satsuki made it for him. Satsuki promised to make the best okonomiyaki ever, so good that Moroha would become addicted to it.